The Adani Hindenburg battle has now become an opposition versus Modi government war. I'm Barkha Dutt, you're with the Mojo story. Gautam Adani's crisis continues to dominate headlines both nationally and internationally, and in parliament, it continues to stall proceedings. The Adani crisis appears to have united an otherwise divided opposition. The opposition today held placards and chanted Adani Sarkar, targeting the government over allegations of proximity to the Adani Group. Meanwhile, the group announced its intention to prepay loans worth 8,000 crores against shares, the pledging of shares in the next 45 days. Adani shares more or less continue to fall at the stock markets, except for one or two companies that appear to show some signs of recovery. As the politics threatens to dominate the economics, it's not quite clear what will happen next. The political fault lines have muddied the water, even as Gautam Adani's own brother Vinod Adani is now dragged into this imbroglio, accused of having links with one of the offshore investors in an Adani company. How long will the opposition stall parliament? And why is there no debate on the floor of the parliament on this issue? Let's introduce our guests on the program today. Joining us from the DMK is its spokesperson, Salem Dharnidharam. Good to see you, Dharani. Also joining us after a long time, Mohan, we've been missing you on the show. Mohandas Pai, venture capitalist. Good to have you with us. Also joining us back with us, one of the foremost financial markets experts, Aveek Mitra. Good to see you again, Aveek. Also joining us is BJP leader from Gujarat, a spokesperson of the party, Dr. Shraddha Rajput. Good to see you, Shraddha ji, after a long gap also. And finally on the program, joining us from the Congress is Arshpreet Kharial, a spokesperson and leader of the Congress party. Okay, we also, of course, are going to give you a sense of what's happening in Parliament, what's happening. Rahul Gandhi is now training his guns at the government. The government is also hitting back, saying, why won't you allow normal business on the floor of the House and then say what you want to? But first, let me get the non-political perspective. And I want to start actually with Aveek, who looks at the financial markets very, very closely. Aveek, the big picture at this point to you, what does it look like?
I think this situation of volatility will continue for a while because market is not yet clear about many details which we are seeking for, and also we do not know actually what Hindenburg will come up with, any set of new set of revelations. And anyone who has invested into it is looking into it with much deeper lens or deeper microscope, every number or everything. That is one part. But other part, I think one data I should put before you, that the kind of price drop which we have seen vis-a-vis the kind of deliveries which have took place is not very significant. If I tell you about the total number of shares delivered since 25th to last trading day, except today, because today's full data is not available till now. I think about 1 crore 95 lakh shares has been delivered over a period of last 7-8 days, vis-a-vis the total shares of almost 114 crore. So keeping that in mind, I think about 1.71% of the total shares has been delivered, changed hands. So most of the strong hands which were having the shares, which either are with certain kind of financial institutions which are having almost entire stake holding Adani stocks, or LIC or Nomura, or the promoters, they are holding their stock. So the price drop is mostly happening with a thin volume. So this is one part.
Got it.
So,
Yeah. Yeah. So let me bring in Mohandas Pai now, and then we'll go to the politics of it. Mohan, opinion has been quite divided within the business community. There are those who actually make the point that this is, in a way, an attempt to discredit the entire Indian market. There are others who say that's nonsense. There are serious allegations here, and those allegations have to be addressed. Gautam Adani himself, after initially rubbishing the Hindenburg report, is now moving clearly to address the bad perception, moving clearly to try and reduce his debt. The announcement today of wanting to prepay 8,000 crores worth of loans against the pledging of shares is, of course, an example of that. Let's bring you in, Mohandas Pai, for the big picture.
Barkha, if any business or any businessman equates himself with India, that it's total rubbish. No business is larger than this country. No businessman is larger than this country. Every business is a small part of this country, and people must know their place in this country. Let's be very clear about that. If Adani says that is attack on India, I think that's total rubbish. It's an attack on Adani because his stock price is very high, much more than what the fundamentals can support, and somebody has gone short. Second, this is a business transaction which is normal in the capital markets, where a predatory short seller is selling short because he believes the price is very high and trying to make profit. And when you sell short and try to make profit, Hindenburg is incidentally shorting the bonds outside, not the shares in India. All right, you have to release a report or give bad news, so you create panic. So you create a big report taking all the disclosure they made in the past, maybe some new ones, some innuendos, attacking the Indian market, all kind of rubbish there too, and create panic. And many people here, media here, opposition here, jump on the bandwagon, create more panic. And the short seller is laughing all the way to the bank. And like my friend said earlier, the delivery on the sale here is very small. That is all speculation. And please remember, when the stock starts tanking, more and more people start selling smaller amounts and make money and buy back. So it goes all the way down till it comes to a particular level. Then maybe it stabilizes. Now, whether Adani has done any wrong or anything, it is for SEBI and the RBI to look and inquire. SEBI is inquiring. Let the SEBI report come out. RBI said the banks have told them that their exposure is safe. The total lending to Adani is such a small number. The total banking lending is 132 lakh crores. SBI has got a balance sheet lending of 32 lakh crores. This is a very small amount. The chairman of the banks has said they're comfortable. They got good assets. He's got good assets. The only problem with Adani has been the very high valuation that he got for whatever reason. That is under attack, and it's fine. It's a normal part of the market. Let's settle down. Let SEBI come out with this report.
So you're saying Adani,
more.
Yeah, so you're saying, Mohan, Adani does not equal India, and Adani does not equal the stock market, and Adani does not equal the rest of the stock market either.
Absolutely nobody, no one company, no businessman, no group of business equal this country. Let's be clear. India has got a large number of well-managed, well-run companies which have a great reputation globally, and all foreign investors invest in India understand this. They're not concerned about Adani's fall in the Indian market is gone. That's all rubbish. I don't think these people need to be worried and create a furor in parliament.
So let me ask Mr. Dharnidharan on that note, why the furor in Parliament? The kind of scenes we saw from Parliament today, we can play them. Politicians holding placards accusing the government of being an Adani Sarkar. Why are you trying to link what Mohandas Pai calls the fall of one company, a company that will defend itself? It will be investigated by SEBI and other watchdogs. Why are you making this a government versus opposition battle? Salem Dharnidharam.
Thank you, Barkha. See, firstly, the report is either true or it's false. But there are certain facts and number that is given in the report, Hindenburg report, which anyone can easily verify because Adani is a public limited company and the documents are easily available. So the first issue is this. There are three types of investors, like foreign institutional investors, domestic institutional investors, as well as retail investors. But if you look at the domestic institutional investor, more than 90% is invested by one single company, that is LIC. Most other institutional investors, most other pension funds have stayed away from Adani. So why is that one government-owned insurance company, a quasi-government company, has invested, is the major institutional investor in Adani? That's question number one. And question number two is, extremely high levels of debt.
Yeah.
If you look at the current ratio for most Adani companies, 5 out of 7 is less than 1. For example, Adani Oil and Gas is about 0.02. What is the current ratio? Current ratio is what will be your immediate requirement in the next 6 months, and if the company is in a position to receive money to service the debt and other immediate expenses. So current ratio for most of the Adani companies, 5 is less than 1. For Adani, as I said, oil and gas is 0.2, Adani Green is 0.5, and so on and so forth. But in spite of that, most Adani group of companies have very high multiples. Multiples in the sense, the valuation of the company in respect to the revenue they get. minus
Yeah.
expenses.
Yeah.
The
So what does that prove? What does that prove?
I'm coming there. So they have very high debt, but still, in spite of having high debt, for example, I'll tell you, Adani Oil and Gas, in spite of having a current ratio of 0.2, has share value has increased by about 2,000 percent, about 2,112% the last 3 years.
Yeah.
Right? See, it's normal for a startup or a technology company that that kind of goes and disrupts the market to
So
have very high.
basically, you're saying, let me try and summarize this for you, and I want Mohan to react briefly to it, and then I want to go to Shraddha and Arshdeep. That despite the high debt, this exponential increase in the share value is suspicious. Point one. And Mr. Pai, if you look at Gautam Adani's even personal wealth, I was just looking at the numbers today. He basically went from 10 billion to
No,
105 billion in
can I
2
just go ahead?
years. Can you
No,
complete your
I
point?
just want to add.
Yeah. Okay, Dharini. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, 1
Quickly.
minute. So yes, Adani's wealth has also increased from 40,000 crores in 2014 to about 17 lakh crores. Not his wealth, but the Adani group of companies' wealth to 17 lakh crores. And at the same time, the last 3 years, on an average, his wealth has increased by 2,000 crores each year after COVID. That's the most important point. Again, another most important point is shareholding pattern of the promoters in most of these companies is from 70 to 75%. And there are 5 Mauritius-based companies that has invested 10 to 15% in each of these companies. These companies do not have any employee. Their websites were made on the same day, and
This is the
they have not made any
allegation.
investment before investing in Adani. They have not made any investment after investing in Adani.
This is
And
certainly an
99% to
allegation.
100% of investment only in
Okay,
Adani
okay.
group
Now
of
hold on.
companies. So
I
what
have
is
to let
SEBI
the.
doing? 1 lakh crores
I'll,
have come through these companies.
I'll let you speak again. I have to give the others a chance also. So just hold the rest of your data that you've come armed with. Mohan, briefly, I think there's a valid question in people finding it highly suspicious, this exponential growth, despite being a highly leveraged company. I just want your brief response before we look at the politics of it on that. Mohandas Pai.
Barkha, anybody in the markets knows that illiquid stocks, where the float is very small, some event happens, somebody buys, it shoots up. I mean, if there's market manipulation, it is for SEBI to find out, and SEBI is investigating. Yes, everybody knows the price has gone up some 802% in 2 or 3 years. And many find it very absurd that a company which sells, electricity or green energy is quoted at such a high rate. People in the market know that. I mean, everybody knows this. It's very common knowledge. As far as people from Mauritius investing, there's a very old story which SEBI is investigating. It's nothing new in the last 2 years. It has been an illiquid stock. It has got a history of going up and coming down with great volatility for the last 10 years. If you see the last 10 years, it has gone up during some particular times and come down with particular times equally violently. Even in the tech debacle in the United States, you saw that Amazon lost $1 trillion. Meta lost $500 billion. Microsoft lost $800 billion. These are market volatility that happened in the US. India, it happened because of short selling. Let SEBI come out with the report. As for gentlemen talking about current ratio and all that, I think you must look at the balance sheet more closely. These are all asset-based companies where there's a large amount of capital work in progress, where assets are not put to production, assets are not yielding revenue, will take time. So the current ratio will be very small because there is no repayment obligation for the next 2 or 3 years. Current ratio becomes important when it's working capital intensive, or there are repayment of debt. If there's no repayment 2 or 3 years, it is perfectly fine. There's got nothing to do with stock price. It is no indication of stock price. Stock price has moved up for various reasons. If there's manipulation, let's say we find out.
So we are now seeing a full-blown battle, Arshpreet, between, in fact, the Congress leading these protests, the opposition otherwise divided right now all on the same page, and the BJP. I want yours and Shraddha's response. One, I want to know if the BJP will defend Adani. Two, from Arshpreet, I want to know, it's not that Gautam Adani does not have investments in opposition states. There are images of him with Mamta Banerjee. There are images of him with Ashok Gehlot. He has significant investments. In fact, that's something he's made it a point to say when he's called too close to Adani. These are some of the images that we're showing you. Historically, Mr. Adani has been a smart business person, and he has taken his investments across political trenches. So why are you people today calling this government an Adani Sarkar?
Having an investment in a particular state is entirely different from the government being in the center, having the responsibility to guard the state, to guard the rights of the people, and then failing at it, initiating no probe at all whatsoever, no inquiry at all whatsoever, no action at all whatsoever. And these allegations, they haven't just started to come, forward just now. They have been leveled time and again since many years. Despite that, not a single probe was initiated. Now, there are 2 to 3 things which have to be taken into account. The first one is that under the Bharatiya Janata Party's rule, Mr. Adani rose to be the second richest person in the world. However, in India, he was still not in the top 10 taxpayers list, which is a big contrast, which is a big contradiction. And, despite that, nothing was done. And these allegations of fraud, stock manipulation, nobody wanted to look into it. I mean, where did the ED go? Where did the CBI go? Where did the IT go? Where did the SEBI go? Had it been, 1% of the total amount that has been called into question, you would have seen the ED acting. When there are small farmers concerned with loan payments, when they fail to do that, or there's a little bit of an issue, the big ministers and the big leaders of the Bharatiya Janata Party would speak. But at this aspect, at this issue, they're all mum. And it reminds me of the phrase, "Hum Adani ke hai kaun?" I mean, the Bharatiya Janata Party have not been able to tell us one thing. What is the problem in initiating a JPC probe? What is the problem in having a probe done by the Chief Justice, a former Chief Justice? Probe is to a certain.
Let me share something very interesting with you.
Barkha, may I just have 10 more seconds, please?
Okay, sure.
So a probe is to a certain and look into everything. I mean, why does the government possibly, not want somebody to look into it? What is the problem in that?
So let me share something with you.
Agency, this never would have been unearthed.
Let me share something with you. Shraddha ji can answer for the BJP, but today we saw an announcement from Uttar Pradesh where the discoms, and if we can bring up that headline, the Uttar Pradesh discoms have actually decided to scrap the bids by the sort of the Adani group. It has the smart meter bid. So this is an important point that is happening, and I'm wondering if the BJP has begun or is wanting to distance itself from, in fact, the Adani group. Shraddha ji, let me take that straight to you. Gautam Adani is, of course, from Gujarat. One of his most high-profile projects that he's asked many questions about, the Mundra port, is routinely in the headlines. In fact, I think on a Rajat Sharma interview, he was asked about rumors that he got that land for cheap, and he said, "Wahan to zameen tha hi nahi. We spend more on the reclamation than we did on paying for the land." But the allegations continue that Adani could not have become so rich without political patronage. Now, this is not the first businessman who's been accused of political patronage, and it's happened even in the Congress years. This is how many cynics would say business, unfortunately, continues to be done in this country. My question to you is simply this: does the BJP feel the need to protect Gautam Adani?
First of all, Barkha ji, with due respect, me as a simple taxpayer, and I am from the BJP, so Adani ji is not paying a single penny for me, so I am not here to defend him, defame him, and promote him. Adani is a simple businessman from our side, like Ratan Tata ji, Ambani ji, and number of people who are doing the business over here. See, as a party, as a government, our responsibility to provide ease and doing, because we believe that like agriculture, business, infrastructure, and industries are important for development, and we believe that our agenda is development. Whatsoever is loan and what so kind of the infrastructure is of doing is given to the Adani. It is same given to the whatsoever wanted to do business in Gujarat or country, and where are the political parties? See, they do have the relation with the Mamtaji. They do have the relation in the Chhattisgarh. They do have the relation in Rajasthan. Then it is okay. Basically, problem is that Gautam Adani is Gujarati. See, Ratan Tata, from where they, Ambani ji is Gujarati. Gautam Adani ji had a relationship with Rajiv Gandhi. He is also our former Prime Minister and coming from the Congress party. And today, as a taxpayer, my simple question is, Congress person is that our session Parliament is going on. Taxpayers' money is going on. If you have any question, you just ask that question on the floor of Parliament. Recently, our government had given the budget. You people do not have any questions regarding the budget, what we have done for the middle class or agriculture policies or for the tribal peoples. You do not have any queries, questions. which budget has or have. See, I don't understand why we are here, why the political opposition is saying something about the Adani. See, hypothetically, Barkhaji, if tomorrow is share market or stock market is going to up for Adani, then we do have the again debates on that. See, simply stock market, share market, business, this is totally different thing. Government is going differently. Government's ideology to provide the ease of doing, that I totally convey.
So I think that's a very interesting thing you've said. But why did you say that you believe that Gautam Adani is being targeted because he's Gujarati? Why are you saying that?
See, I am not believing it. My party is not believing it. It's the opposition. They are saying कि भाई Adani ji, Ambani ji and Modi ji are from Gujarat. See, अब ये तो crime हो गया ना. अगर हम गुजरात से हैं तो बस crime हो गया. ये तो opposition हमें बार-बार कोई भी गुजराती अगर कुछ कर ले, अच्छा कर ले तो praise नहीं करते. तो इधर-उधर हो जाए तो कल्याण हो जाता है.
So let me play out Rahul Gandhi because आपने अडानी अंबानी की बात की तो उन्होंने उन्हीं दो का जिक्र करते हुए आज फिर
सरदार वल्लभ भाई पटेल भी हमारे हैं.
अच्छा ठीक है बानी आपकी बात. Let me just play out Rahul Gandhi's clip and I want to get reactions to that from the panel. Listen in to Mr. Gandhi today targeting the government over the Adani crisis.
काफी सालों से मैं बोल रहा हूँ. अच्छा बोलूं? काफी सालों से मैं बोल रहा हूँ सरकार के बारे में कि हम दो हमारे दो. सरकार नहीं चाहती और सरकार डरी हुई है कि पार्लियामेंट में अदानी जी के बारे में डिस्कशन हो जाए. मगर सरकार को डिस्कशन अलाउ करना चाहिए. आप देखना पूरी कोशिश होगी और ये सरकार नहीं मोदी जी पूरी कोशिश करेंगे कि पार्लियामेंट में अदानी जी का डिस्कशन ना हो जाए. उसका कारण आप जानते हैं.
Okay, so this has become a full-blown political slugfest. Mohandas Pai, my question to you is, what is the mood in your community of people who sort of run equity funds, who run businesses? You founded a company from the scratch, been one of the co-founders of Infosys. What is the mood? Because there's also a cynical perception that, maybe there's corporate shadow boxing here. Maybe this kisi ka haath hai Hindenburg ke piche and so on. You must have also heard all this fevered speculation. What are business people concerned today? Are they feeling like, no, this is healthy? Let Gautam Adani explain to shareholders, to investors, why he's so highly leveraged.
Barkha, first of all, the business community, startup founders, and everybody is very angry and upset at Rahul Gandhi for his constant abuse of businessmen. Businessmen create wealth for the country, they create employment, they create investment. If you find anything wrong, you make a detailed analysis, write to the regulator, let them inquire. This constant innuendos, throwing stones at them, abusing them is not welcome because Rahul Gandhi does not create jobs in this country. He does not create taxes. He's only the beneficiary of our taxes, living in luxury at taxpayers' cost. I think he should learn to keep quiet and not abuse the people, and the Congress party should learn to shut up and not abuse the business community. Point number one. Second, SEBI will investigate Adani. It's all come in the public domain. SEBI is investigating. Wait for the report. SEBI is the best agency, not even JPC. You can't accuse the JPC of having the ability to get all the documents. Let the SEBI report come out. And if any member of parliament finds there is something in the SEBI report, let them raise it in parliament to decide what to do. They are not the first course of action in any matter relating to the capital market. Let SEBI do his job. Why do sidestepping SEBI? SEBI has been set up. They're doing a fantastic job. Let them do it. RBI has already said very clearly it is satisfied. There is no any other
so talking about SEBI. So
I don't know. I think this abuse of businessmen should stop. It is not good for the country. And I think these people are trying to harm the economy and the future of young people. And if you think young people in this country are going to vote for people who constantly abuse businessmen, abuse wealth, abuse everything, and live a privileged life, they're living in cuckoo land. They're not going to vote for them.
Okay.
I think it's rubbish what they're doing. They must be very careful because all the people in this country are watching them.
Let me get Arshpreet to respond to that. Why does Rahul Gandhi constantly abuse businessmen. And now this is the country where political campaigns are funded by big business, right? BJP may get the lion's share right now because it's seen to be the party on the ascendant, but we all know how elections are funded. They're funded by the same big business that today is being abused by some parties, in particular Mohandas Paises by Rahul Gandhi. Arshpreet, you want to respond to that? Can we unmute Arshpreet, please? I think you're muted at your end. Can you unmute yourself? Yeah, go ahead.
Barkha, see, one would have to give up logic in order to give a statement like the one the gentleman who spoke before me gave, that Mr. Rahul Gandhi has been abusing the businessmen. Mr. Gandhi is the person who has been, ensuring that there are jobs for the people of India vis-a-vis Manrega, vis-a-vis other policies. Thanks to the Congress party, the Bharatiya Janata Party could rename around 30 policies, and then implement it. So
but
please,
he does constantly abuse two business leaders, Mr. Adani, Mr. Ambani.
Abuse is a very harsh term, Barkha. Let's not call it abuse. Let's call that a question. Had the ED or CBI or the government would have done its job, we wouldn't have had to demand a probe for it. And, I am saying this on the record. Had it been a problem, an issue of a much lesser magnitude, the ED already would have got involved. Had it been an opposition party, the ED probably would have already got involved. And, no matter what, the leaders say, the politicians say, people of India are saying, in fact, people who cannot see, the blind can also see and easily connect the dots that you are willing to disregard, that you are willing to ignore. Everybody can see it. And number two, the common people of India have been affected. With regards to LIC, with regards to SBI that have invested hugely. So the common people have been demanding a probe as well. How many, would you say that the people are also abusing? The people are also not supposed to ask questions. This is the world's largest democracy. For God's sake, allow us to at least ask questions. Last thing. In the parliament where we are supposed to discuss such things, we are not allowed to talk. And when it goes to Sadak, the Bharatiya Janata Party has a problem. In the country, there are protests happening. And if the Bharatiya Janata Party does not initiate a probe in this, we'll make sure that the Bharatiya Janata Party is made accountable for its wrongdoing.
Okay. Now, I want to play out
Barkha,
before I
can
come
say
to...
something, please?
Yes. Okay. Go ahead.
Barkha, we must be honest about fact. The chairman of State Bank of India is on record to say that he is not concerned. The asset is good. Asset is not bad. It is about 0.87% of the total assets of 32 lakh crores lent. Is less than 1 year's profit for State Bank. LIC has got an equity portfolio of 10 lakh crores. And they're still sitting on profits despite the price coming down. Where is people's interest affected? People's interest is not affected. So what are these people talking about and telling all these lies? People of this country are not concerned. I mean, these are all very big institutions. Let them decide. Let them invest. I mean, I don't know why we should throw stones at LIC and SBI when they're very, very good institutions.
Now, one of the debates is what is the role of SEBI? SEBI has indicated that the inquiry has begun. The former SEBI chairman, UK Sinha, told me that any inquiry will investigate both the allegations against Adani and the Hindenburg Institute. Mr. Pai, I think you saw that little clip as well.
Yes.
I want to play out a different excerpt from his interview. And Aveek, you may want to respond on this, where he actually says more than SEBI. It is the board of directors, it is the banks, and it is the auditors in the Adani group who have to answer for what has happened. So just listen in and then I'll get reactions.
My question is, the directors of the company, the auditors of the company, and even the bankers. If I am a banker to a company where I am finding that it is 15x or 10x, then my loan may be in jeopardy. I should be worried about that. Similarly, there are things like risk mitigation measures which the audit committee and others should have a look at, auditors should have a look at. So far as SEBI is concerned, if some share prices are going in unidirectional at a fast pace, they should be looking at it, no doubt. But then this is primarily the job of the company there. The auditors and the directors of the company.
Primarily the job of the company. Aveek, do you agree?
Primarily the job of the company, surely, for the kind of leverage which they have and the kind of debt service ability they have vis-a-vis the kind of business plan and the cash flow requirements which they have. But if you allow me for 2 minutes, then I can expand the debate a little bit. because
Yes.
I think the discussions are coming in, has to be done in 3-4 different areas. One is that one side we say that the Adani is becoming richest person and he is not paying the tax or something like that. We need to understand that this is a wealth. Because of the increase in the stock prices, he has become the wealthiest person. Now the stock prices have come down, so his wealth has been eroded and he is no more the richest person.
By more than 50%. By more than 50%, by the way.
Yes. So
Yes.
that is
Yes.
so, and the retail investors, I told in the other day also, the retail investors are not that affected directly because the direct exposure of the Adani companies is very less for the for the common people. But if the overall sentiment gets affected, the retail investors will get affected. This is one part. The second part was the LIC investment. If why LIC has invested is a question, then should be asked to LIC rather than actually probing Adani for that. Third part is this: there are certain kind of allegations which has been made in this report, which is related to over invoicing, related to money laundering, and these kind of things where they have referred from the Directorate of Revenue Intelligence reports.
And may I just say that among the serious allegations, can we take the banner off? Is one that links an investor company to Mr. Adani's brother Aveek. So we do also need to flag that.
So
go ahead, make your point.
Those kind of areas can be probed by the required agencies. So that is a separate issue from what we are discussing right now. But that is an area where I think even the politics can come in, because the thing is that everything ultimately in a democracy gets into politics. Fourth part is that there is a very strategic issues which we need to be discussed in our country when these kind of issues have surfaced, is that whether how prudent or how rational or how critical it is to get one company involved into road, port, all kind of infrastructures and all kind of businesses starting. He is there in road, he is there in port, he is there in airport, there in TV cell, there in gas, there in kind of, you name it, and that company is there. So whether we are getting this kind of infrastructure
concentration of infrastructural that's a very interesting point. From the strategic stability perspective of a country, I think it's a very important point.
There are 4 or 5 different areas through which these kind of things can be looked into. So that is all my point is.
Okay, let me bring in now the politicians, back to the politicians. First to Salem Dharnidharam. Go ahead, Mr. Dharnidharam. You've heard all the perspectives here. The question for you is this: why is this not the role of SEBI? Why does it need the JPC? Why do you not trust SEBI?
So firstly, I also have to revert back to the accusation made by Mohandas that Rahul Gandhi is against businesses or this government is pro-business. We'll have to look. Unemployment, youth unemployment in this country is 28%, one of the highest in Asia. In fact, twice highest than most of the countries in Asia. And why did this happen? Even before COVID. Now we can say COVID, we can say Ukraine. What is the reason? But just even before COVID, if you look 2020 January or 2019 December, the entire discussion was about low two-wheeler sales, low four-wheeler sales at 43-year-old, high unemployment. And this is only because of the economic policy of this government, because this government believed in giving tax base to the corporates. They assumed that will create demand, but in order to compensate for the losses by which was incurred because of reduction in corporate taxes, they had to increase the excise duty on petrol and diesel. Indians on an average spend the highest.
Okay, but how does that link to this debate? How does it link to this?
I'm coming there. I'm just coming. So this government is not pro-business, pro-employment. They're not creating any employment, is what I'm trying to say. Right? Okay. That's my whole point. So if you look, this country receives 100 rupees in tax, 60 is indirect tax. And everyone knows indirect tax is regressive. That's what OECD says, that's what World Bank says. And where does 60 rupees come from? More than 75% comes from people making income in the bottom 50 percentile. This means this country is funded by people living below the poverty line or people making less than 2 lakhs a year. So they use this money to fund the corporates. This is the data. This is written in Oxfam data. I also went through Oxfam data, also verified the sources. You can't deny it. Numbers can't lie, right?
Yeah.
And again, my question is, the only main problem is institutions are not doing its job. So,
okay, my question to you, once again, Mohan, why do you not trust SEBI? My question was,
because these institutions are... Pardon, yeah, please.
Yeah, why do you not trust SEBI? Why do you not trust SEBI?
See, most institutions in this country are degraded. I mean, after the BJP has taken over, that we know that if you look at ED cases, the number of ED cases has increased by 10 times after BJP has taken over, and the
But
number of people convicted has dropped. So if 100 people,
the fact that the opposition continues to win elections in several states despite the BJP's access to being the richest, most funded party tells you that the institutional process works. Otherwise, your party would not have swept the way it has through Tamil Nadu. But clearly, you feel more
no, I
cynically
know.
about that.
Can I add on? I want to add on. Can I add on?
Yes.
If the institutions were equal for all, I think we would have got 220 seats and not 160.
Okay. All right. Let me get Shraddha ji in, and then we have to take last comments. Shraddha ji, please. Shraddha, you made a very interesting comment. You said you are not here to either defend or defame Adani. You're an ordinary taxpayer, and you will speak like that. Now, what Ms. Dharnidharam is saying is that the ordinary taxpayer is never spared, even if they evade a small amount of income tax evasion, right? The taxman comes knocking at our door. But there's a perception among the public that big, rich, politically connected people can get away with anything. So when they hear about offshore investors that are linked to, let's say, Mr. Adani's brother, it's a pretty serious allegation.
See, Barkha ji, our problem is that if Bill and Melinda is there in a foreign country, we feel proud that Bill and Melinda, they are doing this kind of the businessmen. And we don't feel proud on the Ratan Tata, Ambani, Adani, or a number of businessmen, because they are creating the opportunity, employment. Because if there is a, Lal Bahadur Shastri said, Jai Jawan, Jai Kisan, then Jai Vigyan and Jai Udyogi is also important for our country. We must be inclusive. We do not like exclusive. See, Rahul Gandhi ji say they do not want any businessman from this country. He is able to say this clearly. So it is not possible. See, we have to think about this. See, there are the agencies. Government are here to provide them the opportunities to create.
I mean, I don't think Rahul Gandhi has said he doesn't want any businessmen. He's targeted 2 of the richest men in this country. That's a bit different from not liking any businessman.
Not here to protect Ratan Tata ji or Ambani ji or Adani ji or any kind of businessman over here. See, being a party, our policy is to provide the ease of doing business for the welfare of our country, because we believe that there are the employment which creates from the government side. There are the employment which creates from the non-government side also. There are the employment which creates from the infrastructure from business communities. We have to think about all of them. See, it is not like we are always pointing like, see, these people is not good. Not good.
I think, no, I think you made your position quite clear that you're not going to have an anti-business tirade. The BJP is not going to be anti-business, but the BJP is not going to jump in to either defend or defame Adani. I think that's a very clear position.
India, we believe in making India, and that see, we believe in our IIM students, we believe in our IIT students. We are not giving them opportunity, and they have to leave the country.
Okay.
Why?
Okay, let me get last comments. Shraddha ji, I'm out of time. I need to get last comments. Heard you. Mohandas Pai, very quickly. What should happen next? Market volatility is continuing, at least to the Adani shares. Right now, it's not spilt over to the rest of the market. UK Sinha believe that the market is strong. The market will have its own logic, and that's what we're actually seeing here. We don't need to worry. But there could be a time, especially the way the global media is covering this story, Mohan, that foreign investment could wonder about the regulatory environment in India. Are you concerned? Are you worried? Because this issue needs to be addressed and contained. Yes.
Barkha, I'm not worried, because all the foreign investors who invest in India know India very well. There are a lot of analysts who cover stocks all across. They write reports. None of them are raised concern about India being impacted. All right. Now, if the New York Times writes some rubbish, Washington Post, Al Jazeera writes some rubbish, the Pakistani media, why should we bother? People who invest in India know India very well. They've been investing for multiple years. They will invest. Yes, there is market volatility. But what I'm sad is, why are opposition parties supporting Hindenburg, who's laughing all the way to the bank and making money? What are these people got to do Hindenburg? Hindenburg is making more money. The more galata you do,
but Hindenburg
shorted
many stocks
and they
before.
make more money.
But Adani is not the first stock that Hindenburg has shorted.
Barkha, let SEBI make an inquiry. Let the inquiry report come out. Wait for that. Why do you again getting more and more unnecessary, hula bulla in this country? SEBI is there, RBI is there. Let them come out with the report. Then you discuss. What does it matter?
Okay.
Barkha, they are all short seller. They have not heard the market. This happens all over, the normal feature. It'll happen in India again. After 2 or 3 years, there's going to be short selling. It'll happen again.
Of course,
and again
that's
and
what
again.
I'm saying. I'm saying the Adani stock is not the first stock that Hindenburg has shorted.
Baba,
Mr.
it
Dharani.
happened in
Exactly.
India,
So I just
it'll
want to add
happen
on
again.
52 points.
Yeah.
So the first point is, see, the foreign investors' trust in this market is is at the lowest. Last year alone, $16 billion have left this country, highest in the history of this land.
Investing in
Previous
China
was $12 billion. That was
investing
during
in
the
China.
2008 crisis. So now about 1.5 lakh crores have left this country last year alone. You can't deny it.
Investing in China,
Highest
Barkha.
ever. Why? It's because there's no trust.
No, they're investing in China, Barkha, because China market is going up. India market went up
Why
last
not
year.
doing it earlier?
They're taking profits and investing in China. I mean, that is what the analysts are saying. Rather than my
Mr. Dharnidharan.
believe the analyst.
Okay. Let's
Barkha, may I
take the
just
last...
have 10 seconds?
Yes, Arshpreet. Yes.
Yes. See, the Bharatiya Janata Party spokesperson said one right thing. She said that, and I quote, that, Adani and Ambani have created opportunities. She did not mention for whom, though. So, that speaks volumes about how things are and what they are. Number two, we haven't been able to understand one thing, and India is watching, the world is watching. What possible problem does the Bharatiya Janata Party have in getting a probe done by the JPC by a former Chief Justice? Because if there was nothing, he'd be found innocent. So please initiate a probe. What are you waiting for? Last point. And the people who have faith and are basically disregarding every report, everything, every allegation, would also say that Mr. Vinod Adani had nothing to do with the Panama Papers or the Pandora Papers. So that is their faith. Good for them. But we demand an inquiry. Otherwise, the protests will continue to happen.
Okay, the opposition has drawn its red line. I'll give Shraddha a quick interjection there and then give the last word to Aveek. Shraddha ji.
See, right now I'm seeing that Congress spokesperson, whatever he told, just brother, promise me that you will never allow Adani and Ambani ji if in your states. See, it is not possible, brother. We have to understand it's not about Adani and Ambani. I told the n number of businessmen, we are here to give them ease of doing. That is our policy, because we believe that our country our country needs agriculture and our country needs as well. We firmly believe in that. Jai Jawan, Jai Kisan, Jai Udyog, Jai Vigyan. We
Okay.
I
think over the next few days it'll be quite interesting to see how opposition states in particular who have welcomed Adani's investments with open arms react to this controversy. I have to give the last word now to Aveek as we wrap up. Aveek, please go ahead.
Yeah, I think again, equating this that Adani's story will affect India's story is absolutely wrong. I think to start with, and India is too big, and there are enough opportunities, and there are companies whose corporate governance level is almost international standard, or even better than many companies internationally listed in many cases, which I can very firmly tell. Second is that I think rubbishing these foreign agencies and foreign reports too much is also not very kind of welcome step, because if you remember, out of Adani's 2 lakh crore of debt, 1,20,000 crore is debt raised outside India. So we need foreign capital, we need foreign investment. So if we can come out clean with all the kind of questions.
Yeah, I think, sorry, we lost you just exactly at that moment, but you're making that very important point that also sort of building conspiracy theories around the Hindenburg report is also not very smart. Mr. Adani, in the end, is going to have to address the questions that have been raised. And in some ways, with the announcement of prepaying loans worth 8,000 crores in the next 45 days, he's already beginning to do that. So if the report was really all rubbish, he wouldn't really be taking steps basis it. We leave it there. Mohandas Pai, Dr. Shraddha Rajput, Arshpreet Khadiyal, Dharani Dharan, Salem Dharnidharam, and to Aveek Mitra. Thank you so much. I completed your point for you, Aveek. And to our audience, we'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for watching. It's great to see you here. Thank you for watching our work. If you haven't subscribed yet, don't forget to click the bell icon and subscribe to Mojo Story and support independent, robust journalism.